Welcome to Season 4, Episode 40 of the Family Travel Australia podcast. We are Katie, Paul and Jasper from the Feel Good family. Join us as we explore this great country, Australia, its people, places and cultures.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the Family Travel Podcast, where we share the latest in RV industry news, road trip travel, camping and caravanning, product reviews, where to go, what to do, and so much more. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, and again, we are now on YouTube. So if you'd like to listen and watch, make sure you log on to YouTube, the Family Travel Podcast. We would love you to subscribe and, of course, share with everyone that you think this could help or add value to in their travel plans. Wow, haven't we had a huge week?
It's been another big week here with the Feel Good family.
All right, and this week we will be sharing with you a couple of last-minute experiences in Broome, including meeting some very happy campers.
Yes.
And then we'll be travelling a fairly long way down the road, south to 80 Mile Beach, an absolute fisherman's paradise.
Yes, this has made the top of our WA list.
We'll get to see some turtles nesting, and in the newsroom this week we'll be sharing RV safety news. Lots going on there, which is good news for the industry.
Yeah, so another jam-packed podcast episode.
Okay, so Broome, how good is this place?
We really do love Broome, and we really understand now why so many travellers that we have spoken to along the way or met while we were in Broome came for a week or came for a month and are still there indefinitely. It is one of those places that just seems to call people and you never want to leave.
Yeah, look, I'd be interested to see what it's like in the wet season. Talking to some of the locals while we were there, they said, look, it's wet, but like torrentially wet in periods, you know, not for months on end or days on end even. It sort of comes, you know, there's a couple of 100 mil and then it goes over a couple of days. So it'd be interesting to see how that actually does go in that town. They don't have any gutters there because the torrential rain is so heavy that it's easier for it to cope by not having gutters.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It is.
It's a quirky little place. We certainly fell in love with it and really enjoyed our time there. And we caught up with some fellow travellers before we left Broome, which, as always, is so nice to catch up with people on the road who follow our travel adventures as well and feel like they are part of our journey and the Feel Good family.
Look, it's pretty funny. What generally happens is we get, "Are you Jasper's mum and dad?" It's so true.
I can't quite. What's your name?
What's your
I can't
name?
remember your name.
Yeah, it's so funny, and understandably, you know, we're sure he's the real star of the show anyway, and so that was exactly what happened. Jasper and I were down in reception at the Broome Caravan Park, and this lovely lady, Robin, said, "Jasper, Jasper's dad," and said, "Oh, you know, look, my husband would love to meet you as well. We are stuck here now for at least 5 weeks. Our vehicle has had a problem with the manifold and the turbo diesel injectors and a number of things. They sort of had these knock-on problems that they thought had been fixed. So they were there, like a few other people that we met in the caravan park, waiting in line for their chance to get their vehicles fixed. There's not a lot of mechanics out this way.
No, well, and probably a lot more travellers than there are hands to be able to fix issues.
Yeah, look, that's the general story anywhere you go through these outback rural locations. So she said, "Come around." So we popped around and we were greeted with this lovely couple that had just spent, I think, 3 or 4 weeks in Kununurra, 1,060 kilometres back down the road, getting their vehicle fixed there as well. And fortunately, were camped underneath a massive fruiting mango tree. And so out she came. They had frozen mango cheeks, full mangoes, and this delicious mango marmalade jam that Robin had made.
Oh, yes, that is awesome on ice cream.
So good.
Really good on toast as well. And just here we go again about community, right? It is just that spirit of connecting with people, of giving and sharing. And what I loved about Rob and Robin was that it was so easy, as it always is when you meet people on the road. And we had such a brilliant time with them. And, you know, they said to us, like, we watched you guys and we thought, gosh, if you can do it, we can do it too. And so they did. They made their plan and they hit the road and they have been loving it. And Robin said to me, you know, we downsized from a massive house, big property, into our caravan, and we weren't sure how we'd go. And we have just taken to this like a duck to water. We absolutely love the lifestyle. How awesome is that? It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, look, it is a thrill to meet people that share that story, that there was some inspiration that came through the content that we're producing. So absolutely love that. And thank you to you both out there. And Jasper decided to call his ice cream the Rockin' Robin.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. I'm sure we've got a few more scoops with that marmalade left. We're almost out.
Do you know what was so fantastic was that before we left Broome, we were able to share a really cool experience with Rob and Robin as well. And that was to the local speedway that was conveniently located right next door to the Caravan Park.
Look, talk about getting to go to the end of season finale and seeing, you know, the highlight of the year, which is the crash up or smash up or demolition derby, as it's called. Mm-hmm. It was so much fun. It was 4.5 hours long, so possibly about 3 hours too long for parents. Mm-hmm. But what happens is they leave the main event, the demolition derby part, right till the end. So at about 8:30, the track goes quiet, and next minute, this group of older teenage kids runs around the entire dirt oval track and starts throwing bags of lollies up over the high fence, the protective fences, to all of the kids who are just starting to fade.
Yeah, nice one. Good timing, guys. But all in the spirit of good fun. And to be honest, I wasn't sure how Jasper would go at the speedway, being loud and in an environment that he'd never been before. Oh, my goodness. I think we have a Speedway fan on our hands.
He got his own little checkered flag, and they even allowed him to wave the full flag, the proper flag. Not from inside the cage, but he was pretty thrilled with that. And no, great experience. And there were so many kids. There would have been anything up, would have 80 to 100 kids there. So truly a family event.
Oh, what I loved was watching all of the vehicles, the locals and the tourists alike, driving in, reversing up to the track, pulling down their tailgates, getting out their beverages and their snacks and their camp chairs, and everybody was lined up the whole way around the track. Paul put the drone up and got some amazing footage. It was just an awesome experience. Yeah,
look, I think speedways will be probably a common thread through Jasper's adulthood.
As long as he
loved it.
The spectator side, I'll be happy with that.
All right, so we are on a pretty decent drive day. It's a 460-kilometre road trip down the road to 80 Mile Beach. It is a fisherman's paradise. When you actually turn off the Highway 1, the National 1, there is only one road out this way, and you're turning toward 80 Mile Beach. It's a 9-kilometre corrugated road, red dirt road. The first kilometre is pretty rough, and then it does get a little better as you drive along. We stuck on about 40 kilometres an hour. I'm told the sweet spot is closer to 50 kilometres an hour. We did have one cupboard that didn't survive.
Yeah, look, I think the good advice is always just drive, particularly on these unsealed and corrugated roads, to your vehicle's ability. And, you know, there's nothing wrong in going slow. Look, we had people flying past us on that corrugated dirt road, which, you know, I think sometimes can be maybe a little bit silly for other vehicles.
Recipe for disaster. Look, we did also meet other campers that had let their tyre pressures down through their van, and they said that was easier. And I think next time we would do that. Look, a little bit of duct tape and then a couple of screws later and we were all sorted again, which is good. But the reward is coming over that last corner and seeing that turquoise blue edge of Australia out to the Indian Ocean. Wow.
Yeah, really wow. And again, another really remote location. I mean, you're driving in through a station and there are just miles and miles of nothing until you reach the 80-mile caravan park, which is this incredible location. It is right on the ocean. I mean, you are literally camping beside the dunes. What's fabulous about 80 Mile Beach Caravan Park at the time of year that we were there is that it is fairly quiet and it's a very large caravan park. Surprisingly green with huge established shady trees and more green grass, I think, than we've seen in a long time in our travels.
Yeah, look, they're pushing all of the campers into one corner, which would be about 10% of the actual park. So, and that saying that there would have been about 30 of us there. So you can imagine this place at the height of the season would be very, very busy, particularly down onto the beach. I mean, look, this is 80 Mile Beach. Originally it was called 90 Mile Beach, which is interesting, but there was another 90 Mile Beach down in Victoria. So they thought, well, this could get confusing down the track, so let's leave them at 90 and we'll call ours 80 Mile Beach. Now, the strange thing about this is the beach is actually 137 miles long, and locals refer to it as 140 Mile Beach. There's a few versions of this. So that equates to 220 kilometre length of pure white sand beach against that turquoise blue ocean, the longest uninterrupted beach in Western Australia. And you can drive about 20 kilometres down one way and I think it's about 15 down the other and not see another soul. Once you get out of that initial kind of front of caravan area, I mean, we were so remote. We felt so by ourselves, so alone and so awesome. I loved it.
Oh, it's amazing. Look, I think if you are standing on 80 Mile Beach, there's no confusing that you are in WA. You're nowhere near Victoria. So I find it kind of funny that they used that as the reasoning to change the name, but absolutely incredible. And being able to get down on the beach in your vehicle, respectfully so, because this is an incredible wildlife sanctuary as well. This is one of the most important feeding grounds in the world for migratory birds that travel thousands and thousands of kilometres over the ocean every single year to come and enjoy their summer here at 80 Mile Beach, and why wouldn't you? And also, it is a very important nesting ground for the flat-backed turtles, which was a massive highlight for us during our stay.
Yeah, look, we stayed up later certainly than is normally for the Feel Good family. Headed out to catch the edge of high tide. Interestingly, the high tide here from the top of the sand dune, let's say where the highest point of the tide can go, to its lowest point, if you were to walk from the top of the dune out during the lowest of the tides, you'd walk 1.8 kilometres.
Phenomenal.
That is an incredibly long way for a human. Imagine trying to do that for a flat-backed turtle. It's, slowly, that's my turtle.
Nice move, Stel.
Impression, what do you think? And so to wait for the high tide is important because there's less journey from, I guess, that edge of the water up to the dunes to dig these nests to lay the clutch of eggs. Now, the clutch of eggs is going to be anything from 30 eggs to 100 eggs, and this may happen for each female up to 10 times per season.
Incredible.
Truly incredible. So, of this 1,000 eggs that she may lay, only a handful will survive to adulthood.
Yeah,
a bit heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The statistics are unbelievable, really. What I loved was that in our few days enjoying 80 Mile Beach when we first arrived, and we were enjoying full driving on the beach and finding a spot miles away from anybody, and Jasper played in the sand and we picnicked and we just really soaked up this environment. We saw so many turtle tracks from the previous nights, and that got us really excited. And so the night that we went down, keeping everything crossed that we would see at least one of these turtles, we were spoilt with the most amazing front row seats to witness this extraordinary event. We literally walked out onto the beach. There was a turtle coming up right in front of us.
Amazing.
We crouched down and found a really nice spot just to sit and watch in the dunes. In fact, I love this, the signage and the protocol around witnessing and being in the turtle's environment is that you must stop, drop and act like a rock. You obviously don't want to let the mama turtles know that you are there.
I want to get a shirt that says stop, drop, act like a rock.
I love it. Jasper thought it was awesome.
80 Mile Beach.
But to be able to just sit there in the dunes in this beautiful tropical temperature at 10 o'clock at night, and witness this turtle making her way up the beach and laying her eggs was just such a special moment to share as a family.
Look, it truly was. And while that's happening in the distance, we see another turtle slowly making her way up, and then only 10 metres down, another turtle, and no one else there. Right to the very end did we see another group approaching. I'd set up the time-lapse cameras with the GoPros and got some incredible footage. We'd done a similar experience in Monrepo, which is right on the coast of central Queensland, in from Bundaberg. And this is quite famous because they have 6 of the 7 species of turtle actually nesting along this beach. They've put in a multi-million-dollar tourism information complex, which is world-class. It is quite incredible. But you're there with literally hundreds of people. Now, the night we went was the night, sort of like the testing night before they opened to the public officially the following day, and there was 500 people there. And Kate and I were left after it going, wow, we almost felt like we had been a bit invasive of the turtles that night.
Yeah, it was a
very
really
well
mixed
managed,
bag.
but we still felt it was well managed, wasn't it?
Oh, it's an amazing experience.
But we didn't feel that it was really the right way to do it. And now we're on the complete opposite side of the country, and we're the only ones there. I loved that. I felt like, oh, this is more like it.
Yeah, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
For us and also for the mama turtles who are making this extraordinary journey up the beach to, lay their eggs. So what an incredible experience again to share as a family in a location like this. Just really cemented for us how special this environment of 80 Mile Beach is.
Now, we mentioned that it was a fisherman's paradise. There's a couple of things about this location that you need to know before you go. There are lots of sharks.
Oh, yeah, we saw them.
Yes, and we did hear of some backpackers that could not resist the temptation of that incredible water, run into the ocean for a quick dip, only about 3 metres offshore, and then the locals yelling out, bull shark, bull shark. How freaky would that be? Jasper and I saw a nice large one, again, only a few metres offshore, the fin going along. And we met a couple of residents. Well, one is a local legend fisherman named Tomo, Ron Thompson, and then a gentleman named Barry, who is very new to the caravanning industry, semi-retired, just retired from the mining industry, bought himself a caravan, got his ute, and has towed it up straight to 80 Mile Beach. And these two guys, I mean, couldn't be further ends of the fishing, spectrum. Invited us to fish, and next week we're going to share with you a bit of a catch and cook lesson from Tomo and the experience. It was fantastic.
Yeah, awesome.
So great fishing, no swimming. The only thing that's really missing from this caravan park is a pool. I think if they put a pool in, it'd have to be a very large one.
Yes, especially in peak times.
Okay, maybe a poolside bar. It'd be perfect.
Look, it is a shame that you're in such a beautiful environment like this and you really can't swim in the ocean. But to be honest, seeing those fins out there, that was enough for me. I was happy to just dip my feet in the shore and be satisfied with that.
Look, to wrap up on 80 Mile Beach Caravan Park, there's a couple of other highlights about this location. I mean, driving on the beach, four-wheel driving, you're dropping your tyre pressure PSI down to about 15. It is fairly soft in some areas, but this is truly a wonderful experience. It's one of my favourite things to do when you are so remote, so alone, and you're able to explore a coastline as pristine and, I mean, it's unspoiled, isn't it?
Oh,
there's no rubbish. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and shells, seashells. Yeah. If you love beachcombing, I spent hours upon hours collecting shells that we were never going to do anything with, but just picking them up and taking them back to the boys and showing them all of the beautiful designs. I mean, this is an incredible spot where these seashells come in of giant sizes as well.
Yeah, it's known as the seashell capital of Australia.
The unofficial, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a couple to arrival. There is a washdown bay as soon as you come off the beach with fresh water, so you can completely wash down your vehicles. We did that each time. It's, not necessary, but we like to make sure we're getting off as much salt and sand as we can each time. And there is also an air compressor. So if you did want to use your own compressor, then you can easily pump up your tyres at the end of your week or your experience on the beach, which is really great.
Yeah, and prices $50 a night for us during the period of time that we were there, which is great, really, considering your remote location again. And they also had quite a nice little convenience grocery store within reception as well, with staples, a lot of fruit and veg, which I was really surprised about. So, I mean, you are hundreds of kilometres from anywhere. So if you do need to do a grocery shop during your stay, you are headed down to Port Hedland, which is a day trip away.
Yeah, look, it's 250 kilometres to the next major town.
So being able to pick up, some fresh bread or some, fruit or veg midweek or during your stay is great as well.
Yeah, look, you can get bags of ice there that are $10. That'll give you an idea of the prices, remote prices, remote locations. And you can get plenty of fishing gear. And the fishing gear actually was probably the best valued items that they had in store.
Awesome.
All right, takeaway for this week. We talked about leading by the clarity of your own example.
Yeah, and I think the thing that was really highlighted to us that Paul briefly touched on with 80 Mile Beach was that pristine environment. And this is actually something that we've been blown away by in WA in terms of...
Sorry, blown away in WA. I love that. It should also be a shirt or on a mug.
Blowvember.
It's very windy.
Yes, we've had our fair share of Blowvember already. It really is about how pristine these environments are and how little rubbish and litter we have seen and experienced during our travels to date through Western Australia. And so the thing that stood out for us at 80 Mile Beach was the respect that the campers here have for this environment, being that it is so important to the wildlife that call this place home. And whilst you can access the beach and you can full drive on the beach and the fishing, oftentimes with those sorts of activities comes that spirit of, it doesn't matter, leaving fishing line around. We didn't see any of that. And we had a discussion following, and it really is about leading by the clarity
of your own example.
It is, yes. And, if you see somebody doing the right thing, then chances are you're more than likely to do the right thing as well. And of course it goes the other way. Look, we have been to campsites and beautiful environments where we've been astounded at the amount of rubbish left around, or, empty beer cans and bottles where people have come to sit and enjoy an incredible environment, take in a sunset, for example, and then leave their rubbish behind. So it can go either way.
Yeah.
Takeaway for this week was the respect that the 80 Mile Beach community have for this incredible environment, and also how we have experienced that to date through our travels in WA. So well done, WA.
Yeah, blown away in WA, definitely. Look, we would recommend that you put 80 Mile Beach on your list of must-visit locations. I loved it here. We only spent a week. Tomo,
we could have easily spent more.
Yeah, look, Tomo, who we'll talk about next week, has been there already 2 months. I think he's normally there a few months of the year. And Bazza, who's new to camping, he is now up to, I think, 5 weeks. He's still there.
I love it. Every day we saw Baz, he's like extended for another week. Yeah, just been up to reception and just extended again. I'm like, yeah, you go for it, man.
Each new day, he was adding a week onto his already extension. Anyway, must visit. Do yourself a favour. You will absolutely love it, particularly if you're looking for a location that has that almost island vibe about it, remote island vibe. That's what it's like. Yeah,
the beach was beautiful. Again, check out the YouTube episode on our Feel Good Family YouTube channel for some of the most stunning footage, aerial footage of 80 Mile Beach, and it really gives you that scope of just how incredibly long this beach is.
All right, let's move to the RV Newsroom. This week we wanted to touch on the industry and the RV safety that is really becoming a little more to the fore at the moment due to the increased demand of RVs. Across every part of this industry, there are record sales of vehicles, record sales of second-hand vehicles. That means a lot more vehicles on the road and a requirement to really start to look at regulating this industry a little better. It is a $23 billion industry now here in Australia. That means that they are seeing 1 billion kilometres travelled by people either towing caravans or camper trailers each year. And 90% of that travel is actually happening in remote locations. That's in outback locations, more than even on the coast. So with that comes a whole new set of challenges and problems as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the majority of these people, particularly over the last couple of years, are new, like we were. We were totally green, totally new to this industry. I myself had never towed anything before. So we are seeing and meeting more and more people who have jumped into the now is the time to explore my country. Let's hitch up a van and get out there without any experience or any training or any education on really how to keep themselves and their families and others on the road safe. And for us, we did a towing course, which we've been advocates of from the day we did it, and we tell as many people as we can, you know, if you have the opportunity to do a towing course before you leave, then absolutely do that, because it will give you the basic skills and confidence that you need to help you on the road. Interestingly, I was reading an article from the Caravanning Association of Australia, which is our peak national body that really looks after this caravan and camping industry here in Australia. And their CEO, Stuart Lamont, released this wonderful article on their website about their advocating for change when it comes to regulatory bodies, better education, more training, more resources to keep people on the road in this RV community much safer.
I think that's the end game. You know, you're literally putting on anything, you know, 3.5 ton van on the back of your vehicle and just going down the road trying to get to your destination and hoping for the best. You know, we've talked about the idea of including an extension onto your existing driver's license, like you would if you need a boat license here in Australia, or any kind of recreational water vehicle, a motorbike. You can have that class of license added to your existing license. And I think a towing or an RV or something that may be tiered through weight ratio or size might actually help improve the safety. At the end of the day, you really, even as a fellow camper, you just want people to arrive to their destination and have the time of their life,
Yeah,
You don't want this to be a moment in their life that, can go really bad really quickly.
And even, ruin that experience of arriving somewhere. 80 Mile Beach is a perfect example, and starting your holiday or your experience there with a really negative experience of trying to reverse into a site or whatever it is.
Yes.
I think the great thing that the caravanning industry of Australia are advocating for is that better interface between government and industry in compliance and education programs, making it better for people like us who are out there living it and towing our vans and our camper trailers and driving our motorhomes, so that we have access to that information and that education.
Yeah, look, there are 150 manufacturers here in Australia now. That is hard to believe. And they're all very successful at the moment because there is, I think a 40% increase in people buying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recreation vehicles. It really is regarded as the last bastion of vehicle production in Australia. So I think now is the time to get it right, to make some changes, improvements. And all of it is always going to come down to better or furthering your education in this leisure activity.
Absolutely, and that is something that we are super passionate about, and always looking for ways how we can involve ourselves in providing that or being a part of that, whether that's for ourselves or other travellers as well.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up there this week. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, Family Travel Australia, do subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. We are releasing our videos of our podcast every week. And if you really want to get the vision and the full picture, then head over to the Feel Good Family YouTube channel. It is truly amazing what that drone does for our channel. It really gives you a different perspective on the area and the location and the environment in its entirety. And I just love that part of our filming.
Oh, absolutely. It certainly gives you that overarching perspective that you wouldn't get from ground level, especially if you're my height.
All right, next week we will be bringing you some more incredible 80 Mile Beach, specifically around catch and cook. Who caught the fish? Yes, we'll see. And we'll also be travelling again, another couple of huge travel days. We'll be heading down to Point Sampson, and then we'll be meeting Red Dog, a.k.a. the Pilbara Wanderer, the four-legged Aussie legend, came to fame in the film industry. That'll be next week.
Awesome. So much more goodness coming up. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. For now, dream big, look after yourself, look after your family.
And happy trails.
Feel the journey, feel the love, feel good family.
We are the Feel Good Family, an ordinary Aussie family that is travelling full-time around Australia. We knew there had to be a better way, so 2 years ago we made a plan, packed up our lives, sold everything we owned and made travel our new lifestyle. We've never even owned a tent, so totally green with our four-wheel drive and van in tow, we hit the road and are exploring this great country of ours, learning as we go and making the most of our time together. They say you only get 18 summers with your kids. Now doesn't that make you stop and think? Australia is the great southern land with the world's whitest sand, the world's largest rock, the world's oldest culture, and the world's cleanest air. We want to explore every corner of this great country. Join us each week as we bring you the best destinations, experiences, and Aussie characters that we can find. We hope this inspires you to take a step toward whatever your dream is, because if we can do it, you can too. A new destination every week right here on YouTube.